Coach, how you obviously it changes over time, but how do you handle the expectations of the first padded practice and the sense of protecting the players from themselves?
Yeah, I think we got to practice well with one another, stay off the ground, but get our fundamental work in. There's usually some excitement from the players, but you have to do a good job of making sure you don't lose your technique, your fundamentals. The energy is always good, usually the first day of pads, but you got to make sure we're doing things the right way.
Are you an everything starts up front guy in terms of?
Yeah. You have to be strong up front on both sides. And this is really the first true evaluation of the players, knowing what to do and being able to do it without the pads on. But now, seeing the physical part of it is important, and look forward to practice today.
What's your view on fights? I think some coaches are like zero tolerance. Other coaches don't hate to see it.
Yeah, I don't think there's any. I don't want to fight in practice. To me, it's undisciplined. 15-yard penalties. I understand it's a competitive situation, but you can't do it in the games. So being able to maintain your composure and be disciplined, I think, is important. Now, that being said, I don't know if I've ever been in a camp where there wasn't one, but certainly something that we don't want to do.
Coach, I know you don't want to talk about last year, but how do you continue that mentality of winning close games in training camp? How does that work?
Well, we're just getting ready to go today, so it's we got a long way to go here before we play some games. In the regular season, I think that's developed over time. The chemistry within the group, being able to execute under pressure when it counts the most, usually in the fourth quarter. So those are things you constantly work on.
Anyone new coming back or out?
So Ryan will be back, our tight end. Shep will work today. I think everything else status quo.
What about
Hottie won't. Nope.
So he's hurt, or is it over?
Yeah, he's got a little thing. We're just working through it.
Has your personal philosophy changed on how you practice with pads over the course of your coaching career?
No, I mean, look, we got to do a good job of taking care of one another, while also being to evaluate the players, and the players got to have mutual respect for one another. I mean, it's not like you want to have offensive linemen go out there and clean the pocket, guys rushing, or somebody jumps and you put them on the ground, or tackling ball carriers when they're not expecting to be tackled. Stay away from the quarterback, but work on your fundamentals the right way, your techniques, and obviously it's always going to be more physical, particularly in between the lines.
Do you plan on doing any live tackling for this camp?
We're not going to today.
Obviously, we saw Trey Hawkins working with the first team yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Why? What do you want to see from him?
Well, I think he's earned, he had a couple good days, so gave him an opportunity. We'll try to do that with all the positions. Every day is an evaluation. So if we think you've earned an opportunity to do it, that's what we did. It's his birthday today, by the way.
Adoree bumped in for a couple of those snaps into the slot. Is that could you see that being the case during the season?
We'll see. That's why we're using all these combinations. So it'll be different. It's been different, throughout camp. We'll just keep rotating them.
But I just mean, I think most careers played outside. Like, are you saying that's at least a possibility?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's the first day we did it was yesterday. So we got to keep practicing different combinations.
Coach, I know that in the spring, Bobby Johnson said he was really looking forward to seeing John Michael Schmitz, when the pads came on.
Mm-hmm.
As you get into pads, are these big days for him?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're big days for everybody. But again, this is really where the evaluation process, the physical evaluation process, happens for the offense and defensive lines.
Besides winning those one-on-one battles, what might you be looking for in the defensive and offensive lines?
Well, they each have different jobs, so protecting the quarterback inside out, keeping the depth and the width from the interior, get movement in the running game, and then controlling the line of scrimmage, getting off blockers in the run game, and affecting the quarterback. Again, you can only affect the quarterback so much because you want the guys to stay away from the quarterback in these type of practices, whether you hit a thumb or get too close. But you got a good feel when you watch the tape of of guys that are executing their assignments and responsibilities.
I think John Michael was, if I'm not mistaken, in your most recent practice, he was with the first team, which I guess that would have been Ben's turn.
Yeah, I
so
wouldn't
are you
read. I
gonna
wouldn't
still
read
rotate?
into. I wouldn't read into what day it is or what
Yeah, yeah.
period it is. We're going to rotate everybody. Could be a little different each day. Could be a little different each practice during the periods.
Coach, regarding that, when you are switching guys, moving guys around, is that something you talk to players beforehand, or you just kind of throw it out there at practice like it would be?
No,
the
they
game?
know.
Okay.
Yeah, they know. They know there's competition, and their job is to go out there and perform their best wherever role we ask them to do.
Brian, what's it like having Sterling out there for the group because he's a leader? Just to have him
Yeah,
out.
provides a lot of energy. He's a very good teammate. Obviously, he's bounced back from a few injuries, and I think all the guys are appreciative for him, what he does for the team.
Brian, I just going to change the gear a little bit.
Yep.
Darrell Revis is going to the Hall of Fame this weekend. You coached against him in practices and games. What was it like trying to figure out an offense when he was on the field?
Yeah, one of the best. You didn't want to challenge him too often. He was usually pretty tight on the players that our receivers. I was with him when we drafted him at New York. I was with him at New England. Humble person. Really, really good player. Again, you had to be careful throwing it at him too much.
Brian, speaking of young, talented players, how excited are you for Kayvon from the first year now going into his second camp?
Yeah, a lot of those, whether it's Kayvon or Neal or some of the other guys, Belton, I know he was injured, Beavers. I mean, it's always, you hope you make a good jump from year one to year two, not just production-wise, but again, I've talked about this before. You come out in the draft and, it's not a typical off-season for a player. So he's had a whole off-season to work, improve, physically, mentally. So excited for him.
Brian, going back to the defensive line, I've heard from a few guys about stopping the run being a priority. Do you agree that that's a point of emphasis for you guys? And with that, how do you really go about sort of doing that in practice when you're obviously trying to avoid injury?
I mean, we've worked on that since spring. I can't do it as much physically, but run fit drills, run blitzes, technique. It really takes everybody to stop the run, chasing the football. That's something we've worked on last year, something we need to improve, something we'll work on this year.
With those young guys in their second year, I know Evan Neal talked about the weight and the work he put in. How much have you seen any difference from him on the field?
Yeah, again, the first 5 without pads on, I think he's done a good job. He's his second year in the system. I think things slow down a little bit for him. It'll be a good few weeks here with the pads on.
You see him moving better though, or
Yeah,
I know he was big
he's done
into
a nice job.
getting off quicker at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, no, he's done a nice job. We'll see how it all translates here with the pads, but he's had a good 5 days of practice.
Do you know when you'll go pads? Do you know when you'll go pads in the next block, Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
I'd have to go back and look. Yeah, I mean that's what we got tomorrow, and again we just kind of reassess where we're at, go out there today, and we'll handle it going forward.
I don't know if this is a Joe thing or for you, but the NFL I think is going to allow a third quarterback on the roster. How are you going to do that this year? I mean, do you just scout the league or?
Yeah, I think we're always scouting the league no matter what. I think Joe and his staff do a great job, and when we have to make those decisions, that's when we'll make them.